Fire, 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 fire.
All right, it's not for you by Mr. Legendary Drops. Let's see it.
I've been getting called everything under the sun lately. I think I'm probably just going to take a break from Twitter because, well, my opinions come out far better in a YouTube video anyway. How many times have you guys looked at a game and said, who is this being made for? How many times have you guys thought that exact same thing about a long-running franchise or a series that you've supported for years? One of
So many. Chat can name at least one each.
the most wildest trends that I've seen in the games industry is the emergence of these games that seem to have just no target audience whatsoever. Whether it's the themes, whether it's the genre, whether it's the characters, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
you can just instantly look at it and know nobody is going to show up for this. Hell, they're probably not even going to hear about it. Along with that, we have long-running franchises that have been pivoting so hard. These guys have been snapping their own ankles. They have been changing their games, changing their audiences.
Mixtape? No. We're talking about games that are established franchises that have shifted, because Mixtape is its own game with its own quote-unquote audience that doesn't really exist because there's like 50 people playing it. But, like, the ones that used to be around, like Halo, Dragon Age, yeah, Saints Row. Saints Row was decent up to, like, 4, and then it fell off really hard.
Changing just about everything they can, trying to broaden their audience as much as possible while just losing all those people just the same. Recently, we just saw PlayStation announce God of War Lafay, a spin-off title starring Faye instead of Kratos, and people are mad. I haven't seen gamers going at each other's throats like this in a long time. It's like Bloodsport. I've actually been kind of enjoying it.
I'll let him fucking talk. I went on a rabbit hole on fucking God of War.
But much of it has been this intentional, dishonest reframing and gaslighting, trying to make this an issue over gender rather than anything else. Like, people actually have a problem with female protagonists in video games. No. This is a matter
because if that was true, then fucking people wouldn't like Lara Croft and Metroid.
Of taste. This is a matter of expectations. It's a matter of people feeling like they're being pushed out. So today I want to talk about that. I want to talk about all the drama that's been going on with God of War Lafay, people's reaction to it as well as mine. I want to talk about a game that lived, died, and was buried before you even knew about it, and how so often people want you to just ignore the elephant in the room. Or
I think, here's where I'll pop off a little bit, but I didn't really realize this, that God of War, because I didn't play it on the PlayStation, and I watched people play the 2018 one. I think like PewDiePie played it, maybe. I don't know. There was like a couple of content creators that I remember watching, like tidbits and stuff. I actually think God of War kind of like got shafted and already had its trajectory into making God of War Laufey a thing, because it became so far from what it used to be already in 2018, and it's been 8 years since 2018, obviously. I think like them changing the story, and a lot of the story and the gameplay has completely changed. Yeah, 2018 God of War is so far from what it was on the PlayStation and the PlayStation 2. It was still somewhat good. I have my gripe that I think probably in 2015, for some reason, cinematic games started overtaking the market because of like one singular game, and I think it was The Last of Us. The first Last of Us, like, I think that really put a bug up these developers' asses to essentially make all games for journalists. I'll say it, fine. I'll say it. Not for gamers that want to play a video game, it's for people that want to play a movie. Last of Us in 2013 killed AAA. Well, it didn't kill it, obviously, because it did still make a lot of money, but I think that shifted, like, games that would, like, basically be only movies.
they call you a misogynist.
2000 and up because of Metal Gear Solid? No, Metal Gear Solid and Last of Us are not the same. They're really not.
Sorry. Your insults don't work here.
Just because there's like one 20-minute movie cutscene in Metal Gear Solid is not the same as like 7 minutes of like no gameplay and then like 3 minutes of gameplay and then 7 minutes of gameplay. It's not the same. It's really not. That was Kojima's fault. It's not. It's really not.
So I sat down to watch the PlayStation State of Play, and honestly, I walked away pretty happy. I really feel like Sony is finally getting back to what their audience actually expects from them. Outside of the marathon season that they had showed off, I mean, the entire showcase is mostly just high-quality single-player games and cinematic experiences, the kind of things that actually feel like they're made for the PlayStation audience. Stuntman coming back after nearly 2 decades of being gone was a huge surprise, especially seeing that it's the Space Marine 2 devs behind it. Rayman Legends was another one. Really nice to see Ubisoft finally doing something with that IP again. Control Resonant and Onimusha both look good. I am completely stoked for the full release of No Rest for the Wicked, and Phantom Blade Zero is probably my most anticipated game of this year. Eastern developers rarely let me down.
I'm a big fan of Revenge Slop, so...
Now, I am not the biggest Marvel or comic book fan, but I am a huge X-Men.
And again, I think that, like, even though Wolverine still looked pretty cool, I still think it was largely cinematic. It didn't have, like, an insane amount of gameplay. It's just, like, you're pressing, like, X, 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 Y, A, B, 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 like...
fan. And...
Jean Grey not really looking like Jean Grey. I'm not gonna lie.
I also enjoy nearly every single game that has been tied to this franchise. The trailer, for me, looks sick. Apparently, it was a little bit too gory for Kotaku, but for me, it was right on the money.
My God.
The combat looked good.
Wolverine being too fucking gory for Kotaku. Jesus Christ. What happened to... What happened to people, man? Wolverine is like the most brutal dude, like, in the entire franchise. Or like making people's heads explode. Isn't that like pretty fucking normal? They're so soft. Yeah.
The target audience
you don't
here.
watch the
Jean
movie?
Grey
That's
looked
brutal.
a little bit off. I'm definitely going to say that, and there's really no telling which way the story is going to probably end up going. But I mean, X-Men is my millennial kryptonite. I'm going to be playing this game either way. And then PlayStation revealed God of War Lafay, a spin-off title with Kratos' wife Faye, set in some kind of fever dream realm for the dead gods.
Purple!
Visually, I think the game looks really impressive. The combat is going to be a huge step up from 2018 in Ragnarok. Apparently, Kratos gave Faye all of his air combos instead of a wedding ring when they got married. But, you know, as I watched a review of a guy from 9 years ago who, or no, sorry, not 9 years ago, 7 years ago, comparing God of War 2018 to God of War 1 and 2. And I just, this too, I'll get to that, but like, I just don't know, man. I feel like this was set up in a sense so that it wouldn't be such a harsh blow to like the people that liked God of War Ragnarok. And I have my own gripes with God of War Ragnarok. People will be like glazing the fuck out of God of War's combat, and I'm like, but you're shitting all over Witcher 3? Like, Witcher 3, even though I think that it's so miles above the story of, like, God of War, in my personal opinion, I think it's way more interesting and well-written, and there's, like, actual really, really insane fucking storylines that you can play through with Geralt. I think that, like, they really did change it a lot compared to what it used to be. I just felt nothing. The tone just felt
and fucking the Disney pet, like, that just... The cube and the Disney pet really sealed the deal for me. Like, let's not even fucking talking about, like, oh, Laufey, she doesn't look old, she looks ugly. Let's set that fucking debate aside. I'm not gonna fucking get into it. I've already made, like, 2 or 3 videos at this point. But, like, I need to fucking talk about this. What the fuck does this have to do with fucking God of War? Wouldn't you make the argument and be like, okay, it's God of War, it's got a chick in it. Why the fuck does it have this fucking little guy in it and a fucking talking cube?
Oh, painfully millennial. There's a talking cube named Frank and a sword named Rue, and there's this constant ironic dialogue and the same pink and purple aesthetic that we have seen in countless generic games over the past couple of years. And I just sat there thinking, who is this for?
They mocapped a dude to move the cube, by the way.
And with Faye as the main character, even in a spinoff, guys, I'm just going to say it. I play God of War for Kratos. I have played these games for 20 years because of the unbridled masculine energy, the visceral rage, the brutal combat, the stoicism, and then later on, the way that they handled loss, fatherhood, and grappling with your past from a male perspective. It felt like this series grew up with me. So playing a quirked up version of that same universe as Faye just doesn't really do it for me. And yes, I can see the narrative value. Faye's death in God of War 2018.
But she died, and like she has to grow older. No, bitch, she doesn't.
Left a lot of questions, but I'd always assumed that those questions, well, Kratos would just uncover them himself. So when I see a game like this, I
know people are gonna be like, oh, well, this is what he remembers. This isn't actually her. Like, this is his memory of her. I'm like, I don't fucking care, man. I just don't think they did her justice with the actress. The actress is so much prettier than the fucking mocap.
Ask, is this expanding God of War, or is it replacing it with the thing that people came for? And clearly, I'm not the only one asking that. Everybody's been talking about this, and man, has it been divisive. The trailer ended up with 340,000 likes and 179,000 dislikes. Some people
really divided, chat. Really divided.
We're just really excited to learn more about Faye and her relationship with Kratos and some of the things that went left unsaid. They are also picking apart some of the cool references, like how Faye's vision of Kratos is helping her up in the very beginning of the game, and that lines up perfectly with the first game when he's fighting Thor. Other people were just immediately put off by the dialogue, the talking cube and the sword, and
even Baldur. Baldur is kind of like on the soft side. People give a lot of shit to Baldur for being, man. No, I don't want to say no. I don't think he's like Ludwig. I think he actually does have soft opinions, and that's his person. He's argued with people too about this shit, like death to the death. Argue with people on Twitter because that's his job, right? He's so right. Like, why is it like this? Why is this millennial fucking slop bullshit? Like,
putting a woman in the center of a 20-year-old franchise that's been built around Kratos. Some people memed on that contradiction,
I like some of his opinions. I think
in the kitchen. Other people were just simply feeling like their expectations had been betrayed. Spin-off or not, they come to God of War expecting.
But did they ever like explain why there's a fucking cube and a sword in God of War? Like, I understand Thor and like fucking Athena and like all these other things like Artemis and shit like that, right? Like, no, not yet. Okay, but they'll explain the mocap with the dude. Maybe the game will, but nobody's even tried to explain it.
Kratos, and that's not what they got. Not even close.
It's the Jello
David
God,
Jaffe,
yeah.
the creator of God of War, came out and said that it just didn't make any sense to him.
And I actually went on a deep dive because I thought initially he was being, in my first video, I didn't understand where he was coming from. I thought that he was he was disagreeing with me, and I ended up rescinding what I said. I agree with him. This is not the God of War from fucking 2001 or 2005.
He went out of his way to make sure that he has no issue with a female lead. That's not what he's trying to say, but he argued.
And someone in chat did say that the broken clock can be right twice a day. The guy also shits all over fucking Asmund too. So like, I actually think his opinion is valid enough here.
That this is just not what people come to God of War
Sometimes he's
for,
right, yeah.
especially with the game's overall tone, saying that without the name or the connection to the universe, he believes that this game would have been forgotten the minute it was talked about.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of back and forth as to why people have been reacting so strongly. Some people seem genuinely confused, but I think a lot of people are just acting. Instead of engaging with what players are actually saying, you're seeing people attack their masculinity, accuse them of being...
You're just a virgin who can't handle a woman. That's like the go-to.
Afraid to play as a woman, or they're just calling them a misogynist and moving on. I wasn't even going to make a video about this until I had seen just how often people were dishonestly reframing and reducing criticism, acting like players just have no reason whatsoever to be upset when we have watched some version of this happen across nearly every fucking major franchise. People are attached to Kratos. He has been the face of this series for 20 years. And who are we kidding here? God of War has always been a game that's been primarily made for dudes.
This is for the fucking PlayStation.
For red orbs to slaughtering the...
And the gameplay is so much better. Again, I watched a video. It was an hour long. Granted, I did speed it up to 1.5, and I listened to the whole thing. This guy was absolutely decimating and micro-analyzing. It was like a giga autistic video, but I understood from his perspective. If you look at God of War 2018 compared to this, which is the PlayStation version, right? It's like 9 day.
Greek pantheon to raising your son by yourself and grappling with your past.
No quick time events, juggling combos.
Kratos and a distinctive male perspective. That is what people expect when they see God of War. So spinoff or not, you hand that series, you hand that role over to his wife, you are going to upset one part of that audience, which is probably in this case, most of that audience. It looks like the franchise is moving away to somebody else. And that's so obvious that even Domino's is out here calling it out. And look, man,
the fucking corpos are weighing in. Jesus Christ. You know it's bad when the corpos are beefing on Twitter.
Totally understand the argument that this is just a spin-off and that Kratos is confirmed to be coming back, and normally I would just shrug this off and move on, but the problem is that the players do not feel like the main thing is secure anymore, all likely due to some PTSD that's been brought on by pattern recognition. Across all of entertainment, we've been watching as male leads have been sidelined, aged out, humiliated, killed off, or replaced. So even when it's just one specific game that might feel harmless, it's landing inside of a much larger pattern, one that people have been pointing out for years, only to be told that they're just imagining what's happening right in front of them.
I think it also blindsided people because they only got like a couple of references of her in like the game itself with Kratos, and now they want to have a full-blown like God of War centered around her. And it's gonna be around her. You can cope and be like, oh, there'll be flashbacks. It's like, no, but you're not gonna play as him. So like, yeah, people are fucking pissed.
Nobody would care if this was isolated, but
Kratos,
we've been watching his series taking over for Geralt in The Witcher 4. Kate replaced Marcus in Gears. It happened with Uncharted. Melina with Hades 2. Atsu replacing Jin in Ghost of Yotai.
And I did say that at least with Witcher 3, you played as Ciri a decent amount in the fucking game. You did. Like, you developed a story with her a lot more than fucking throwing an entire fucking spin-off game for her, for his wife.
Jin in Ghost of Yotai, we regularly see male-led games move towards female protagonists, but we never see that door swing in the opposite
Ghost
direction.
of Yotai was
I'm saying this is somebody
I think the
that
voice
likes most of
fucking
these characters.
retarded, though.
And yes, some of the changes that we see absolutely make complete narrative sense. I defended The Witcher 4, and I went out of my way to even defend Ghost of Yotai because
I don't have a lot of hope for it, but maybe I could be proven wrong. I really do like Witcher.
story was finished. This is not me saying that every single franchise must be led by the same man forever, or even only by men in some cases. But when you're seeing the same shift happen again and again, it becomes difficult not to notice. More of the gaming space is becoming feminine coded, and the audience that has historically supported these franchises is now being told that noticing that is just them being insecure or hateful. And that's where the backlash is coming from.
Yeah, there's just the incel
people
card.
really love to
Say
throw
it again,
around some
award.
broad numbers claiming that women make up nearly half of gamers today, but those numbers almost...
It's just beating a dead horse. Yeah, gamers who are playing on their phone, they're playing Candy Crush and they're like 40 years old. Average age, 41.
always include every single platform, every single mobile game, every single genre, and it's all under...
If you removed mobile, look, can you see it? If you removed mobile, this would be so skewed the other way. Yeah, my mom's in there. Yeah, my mom played the little fucking the little fucking colored, I don't know what they're called, like fucking balloons or balls on her phone.
One massive umbrella. The minute that you
I
start
don't call her
breaking
a
that audience
gamer,
down
Jesus
by publisher,
Christ.
genre, and individual franchise, that picture is going to change immediately. Capcom has reported
Balloons?
that their audience is
like it's literally
overwhelmingly
popping
male. And
balloons.
more relevant here, a Nexus
colors.
Mod survey from 2015 of around
Match 3.
25,000
Match
respondents
3.
found that men made up 88% of the audience for God of War Ragnarok. Gaming as
No, that's biased. It's wrong.
a whole might have a broad audience, but God of War does not have a broad, evenly divided audience. It has a very...
I think that God of War 2018 100% did broaden the audience for everybody, because God of War, the originals, they were a lot more fucking brutal.
Specific one. And when you see people that are saying that a game like this
Not that
feels like
girls
it's being
don't like
aimed at somebody
violence, I'm
else,
just saying.
they are not just basing that off
There's a
of Faye
target audience
being the
in mind.
protagonist. They're talking about everything else that's surrounding her. I think that a lot of people like to conveniently ignore how significantly changing a lead in a game affects the broader tone, narrative, dialogue, and these games are just not going to be the same. They're entirely different. And maybe that's where a lot of this frustration is actually coming from. It's not as simple as God of War with a female lead. It's the second that these studios make a change, everything else seems to change with it. That doesn't happen because a woman can't lead in a brutal or serious game or that they can't be aimed at male audiences. We already know that they can. Lara Croft, Bayonetta, Nier Automata, Stellar Blade, plenty of Final Fantasy games have made it work, and a lot of people are really looking forward to Tides of Annihilation. The difference is that those characters
They don't
were
feel
written
forced.
to belong as the lead in their worlds. The entire identity of the game doesn't need to bend around another character taking over. But when these modern studios inherit these male-led franchises, they seem completely incapable of doing that. Instead of placing a woman into a natural role, naturally existing there, they have to rebuild the tone around them in the safest, most corporate version of a female protagonist that they can possibly imagine. And I think that's what people see.
And the women who wrote them in, they made it the worst possible fucking dialogue ever, too. I don't know, man. Like, the whole two goddesses, the Egyptian god and then the Mongolian Chinese god being there, like, I'm sure it'll be explained in some way, but, like, it just kind of, like, it felt sloppy. It just doesn't make sense.
When they immediately look at Lafay. They're not just reacting to Faye as a character or Faye replacing...
And the fucking cube. Like, that's like D&D millennial fucking Baldur's Gate 3 writing, man. And I don't mean to disparage Baldur's Gate, but, like, Baldur's Gate is at least D&D, right? So it makes sense to have a fucking cube in it, right?
Kratos, they are reacting to everything that comes with her. The quips, the talking cube, the talking sword, and the version of God of War that suddenly sounds and looks like a dozen other games that everybody has already ignored.
Quick time event.
Nobody is saying that
poggers.
women can't lead in games. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. I think that they should have their own games. It's probably not coming off the way that it probably should. If these publishers and studios are so confident in what they're doing and the changes that they're making and the characters that they're putting in, my question is, why is it so often that these characters have to inherit the names, the audiences, and the cultural weight of games that were built around men?
Because nobody would fucking play it. They wouldn't.
Why don't we instead call out the blatant misogyny of
Mixtape
the games
proves
industry and
that.
of creative industries as a whole, that they believe that women can't stand on their own, and the only way that they can is if they stand on the shoulders of men to find success. Call me a misogynist? Try looking in the mirror.
If you made a Bayonetta game and it was made with like a dude, people would get fucking pissed. Lara Croft, you randomly put in a man. Maybe like a DLC. I would be like, okay, maybe they're like expanding on a story or something. Maybe it's like her mom and dad, and it's the dad that's like a badass or something. Like I could probably like make it a decent story, like if I had to put myself in their shoes. But just it doesn't fucking make any sense. Yeah, no, I want Lara Croft. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you could probably extrapolate, but even then, you would still piss people off.
Now, I want to be painfully clear. I don't have any problem at all with Faye being a protagonist in God of War or in a spin-off or hell, even in a mainline series. I might even like it. I have no idea. I just know that immediately looking at it, it didn't initially look for me. The thing that I take a issue with is the broader trend of this industry, taking existing games, repurposing them, and chasing different audiences, abandoning the original one.
World of Warcraft did that. My fucking baby. My baby. Oh.
And that's exactly what they're doing. If you're blind to that, I don't know what to tell you. These guys are so very obviously targeting women with this game. I mean, you can see it immediately in just the broader tones at the very beginning. It's the changes in color, it's the cutesy animals, it's the quippy dialogue, it's the humor, it's the fairy tale-like companions that are accompanying her. Like, these guys are very obviously targeting women. They do want to change the audience,
Disney
and they're
purple.
going in a different direction. Whether or not that bleeds over to the greater franchise, and this is just a gamble, we'll wait to find out. But keep in mind, one of the things that's...
They take these false data points, too, with, like, the 48% female, and they run with it as well.
This is what's bothering people. That's where the divide is coming from. Men and women fundamentally just have different interests. And while those interests sometimes may intersect...
Or there are exceptions to the rule, like being a tomboy and being into fucking violent games or being into more boy games. I do like girl games, don't get me wrong. For example, I do like Sims. I do like cutesy games. It's just like there's like a limit to it, and I also grew up with an older brother, so like I feel like it just depends on your environment. I mean, sure, maybe there's some nature versus nurture argument too, but like there are exceptions to the rule. Men like Sims 2. Yeah, Lumi like plays Warhammer. I've played Warhammer before. It's not my favorite game, but I like Total War. I don't know. I think Warhammer's a little bit too complicated for me, in my personal opinion. But maybe that's just me.
In most cases, that's coincidentally. So you're seeing a lot of people that are getting upset because they're looking at something that was historically for them, and now it's not anymore. So
What the hell?
What are they supposed to do? Especially when it takes so long for these games to come out. When they come out, oh yeah, well, God of War, don't worry, there's going to be another one with Kratos. Okay, well, it's taking you guys, I think it's like 7 years at this point that these guys have been working on this one. Oh, just wait another 7 years for the next one. That's a whole other problem, the games industry on its own. But this brings us to a crossroads. Been listening to Bone Thugs lately. Audience expansion at all costs. Ignoring any and all risks in some cases. A lot of games that are just completely terrified of having a target audience. And they're also leaving a lot of their audiences behind by doing this. Every single year, we watch as more and more games come out and they just fail. They fall flat on their face.
And then we blame the incels and we say the word incel and we say that they're all virgins and they don't want to play as video games. It's like a perpetual cycle, man. And it's because they invade these spaces made for men, and then they just want to push them out.
And a lot of this is just the result of these guys chasing a larger audience. They have gotten greedy. They want more people. And the more that they do it, the more people they leave behind. And eventually, the less people that are going to show up at all. Something that I think probably gets lost in all the noise of the videos that I make throughout the year is that I love games. Like, I really love games, but I also love business, sales, and marketing, and I just can't get this stuff out of my head, and I just cannot stand to watch people fail because of very obvious mistakes. That is why I talk about these topics as bluntly as I do. It's why I want games to be successful. That does not necessarily mean that I think that everything I say is right or that every prediction I'm going to make is going to come true. But one thing I don't think anybody can afford to ignore anymore is how many of these games are failing year after year because they are being made for an audience that is so broad, so diverse.
You could even tell in the original, not the original God of War, but in the 2018, there was definitely a tone shift in how people speak. There are many instances. I watched a video, again, just by a super nerd like that loved God of War. He said that there were so many instances of like millennial-ish writing, especially with Atreus, his son, right? Yeah, with the boy, where it's like that kind of like threw you back, where it's like, why did he just say it in that way? I don't know, like sassing his dad and shit. There was some dialogue. I'd have to like literally look it up and show you, but like in that video that I watched, it just kind of like made no sense. Like, why the fuck does he talk like that?
So poorly defined that they're never actually going to find one.
It's supposed to be like set in the past, not like a millennial, like 1990s, 2000s.
It will undeniably sell fewer copies than God of War Ragnarok because the target audience has changed. Now the audience is people who already played God of War, plus women tagged onto the side, plus some vague modern audience that nobody can clearly define. And while I have seen plenty of people try to argue the moral good of this because it's making the franchise more inclusive, I do not care to argue the morality of it. I am only interested in the business decision, and I am only aware of it because I was the target audience. The moment that you try to bolt on a secondary audience onto a product or unnaturally try to broaden its appeal, the entire thing is just going to get thrown into chaos. The tone changes, the marketing changes, the writing changes. The original audience becomes a lot less certain that that game is still for them, like I am with Laufey, while the new audience that these guys are chasing might not even...
The new audience did come with the 2018 game. You can't deny that. It definitely broadened the entire scope. The game was a million times easier too. If you actually look and play, or you don't even have to play the game, just watch like a video of someone playing God of War 1 and 2. The game was a lot harder, like unforgiving, even on a normal level. Like again, with these cinematic video games, the problem therein becomes is that it's not really like there's not a lot at stake. It's hard to fail with the combat, and there's no juggling. There's no like actual combos. In the original game, apparently you had to like have combos in order to get orbs in order to upgrade your character essentially. Yeah, it was a different style completely. The game was hard if you played it on hard. No, it wasn't though. Like you can't even argue that. The guy played through it and he said it wasn't hard. There's no urgency in like using your magic. There's a cooldown in this game in the 2018 version, whereas in the old version you had like mana. You couldn't use and spam it all the time. It's like objectively easier. There's no guarding your resources. If you go into a boss room and you didn't have your fucking magic, it was hard.
Care what these guys are doing. We have watched these kind of shifts damage franchises and collapse studios across the entire industry. We may never see another Dragon Age after Veilguard. Saints Row went from gangsters to quirky nerds and may never return.
God, don't remind me. And I really liked Saints Row 3.
And I am fully convinced that Fable is going to suffer the exact same fate.
Yeah, because it's Microsoft. The original developers that made Fable what it was. Like, again, I have no horse in this race. I don't have an attachment to Fable, but I will just say how it is. I would be pleasantly surprised if it was like the old Fable. But people are going to play it because of nostalgia. I don't blame them.
That started with defined audiences,
I'm a victim
which
of that.
then defined their writing, mechanics, and gameplay. Then somebody came in and decided that that definition was a limitation. So then they changed the tone. They widened their pitch. They contorted these games into something that alienated the people that were already invested without giving anybody else a strong reason to show up.
The difficulty metrics just shifted. Resource management as a difficulty metric is boring as fuck in my opinion. Oh, so it's more... So the enemies having more health, so you spend more time killing them, and then you having to do the exact same thing as the other game, the old game, where you have to dodge attacks. Somehow that's more difficult. You still have to dodge attacks in the old game if you want to play it on the hardest possible difficulty. Is that you have to resource manage on top of that, which equivocally and logically makes it more difficult objectively. I don't know, man. I think bullet sponges and dodging stuff is fine, but like there's nuance to it in other video games.
They didn't make a large...
You still have to dodge? Yes, but the nuance of having to resource manage makes it objectively more difficult. It does. Like, I'm literally trying to explain it.
Audience, they just remove the reason for the audience to exist.
There's no layer to it.
Is being driven by profitability,
or rather
profitability conveniently converging with self-destructive empathy. I think a lot of people have kind of concluded that these games basically all across the entire industry are being driven by personal politics or some kind of coordinated social agenda.
And I will say one more thing. I watched 2 different or 3 different videos on this just so I can understand it better without having to spend like hundreds of hours playing the game because it's a lot of time, right? I watched a guy where you literally could not fail the quick time event. He was playing on stream. He holds his controller up and the quick time event just sits there. He doesn't even die. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, again, I mean, it's the principle of the matter. Like, yeah, sure, it doesn't fucking matter that you fail the quick time event. You have to be a fucking drooling idiot to fail it. But like, I don't know, man. There has to be a fucking line in the sand here, okay?
And while I think that can be true at times,
I'm sure there's quick time events in the original God of War. But if you fail those, you die, don't you? Or you like take damage.
I don't think it's as nearly as organized or intentional as people make it out to be. Guys, I think the vast majority of game developers are just these creative, beautiful souls who genuinely want nothing.
That's the build I'm playing right now, you motherfucker. It's because Deadeye's OP.
Nothing more than for everybody to feel welcome playing their games. And they just want their work to reach as many people as possible. And that just so happens to perfectly align with what executives want, just in the wrong way. Because these executives do want these games to appeal to everybody.
Yeah, because it's
for a much simpler reason. They want this audience to keep growing. But I think what we're looking at is the symptom of a maturing market. I think that the games industry is largely done growing, or at the very least, that growth is going to slow dramatically. There are just only so many people in the world, only so much free time, only so much disposable income, and you're only going to be able to make this hobby accessible so much before you're going to reach a point of saturation. And I think that gaming is pretty damn saturated. Now, at the same time, we have games that are taking longer.
Also, not to be like a dick, but like resource management in PoE is fun. Sorry, if you don't like it, that's fine. But like to say that it's boring, It's like this. It's honestly a skill issue.
Costing more to produce, and the hobby itself becoming more expensive to enter, things that really should not be happening at the exact same time. More people are being forced out of the hobby financially, while these companies are also expecting to still grow year after year. So now we have these executives that are just scrambling, trying to deny the reality that's right in front of them. They don't want to shrink their companies. They don't want to lower their...
No, it's not a reality. I just don't think they care about, you know, people's niche target audiences. They want to go up.
Projections.
They want
don't
the
want
money
to tell
to
their
go
shareholders that the market has finally reached its limit. So instead, these guys are trying to broaden their audience. They're trying to reshape existing franchises and existing studios to fit more people, assuming that the original audience is still going to remain loyal no matter what these guys do.
Poggers.
And then they go and they chase this audience that may never actually be interested in their games at all. The place we've seen this happen the most clearly has been with live service games. To Kill the Justice League, Concord, High.
Marathon has no players. I saw a graph that Destiny 3 has 147,000 players. Maybe not right now, but like probably like a couple of hours ago. Right this fucking second. And people are like sitting there like, so there is a debate, and that's on Steam alone. I'm pretty sure it's cross platform, if I remember correctly, or maybe it's not. I don't know. But my point is, like, people aren't surging to go play Marathon after the announcement that Destiny 2, sorry, I misspoke. Destiny 2, they're fucking, guys, you know I misspoke, right? People were excited for Destiny 3, and then they're telling them that they're shutting it down, right? Like, I just feel like it's so unfair to those people that they're trying to show to these executives that there is a demand and that people still really want it because it's a franchise people invested into, and it's a cool franchise, even though people argue and say that it got shitted up. It's still the same thing. Like, nobody's asking for fucking, like, God of War Laufey. They just want to play Kratos. They don't want to play your Marathon. They don't.
Guard, Marathon, and probably a dozen other games that nobody has even heard of. And I know that some people are going to say, wait, well, some of those games are completely new. They didn't change their audience within an existing franchise. Well, sometimes that shift is not happening inside of a game. It's actually happening at a studio level. After just 3 months, the live service MOBA Spellcaster Chronicles is already shutting down. And I don't think most people even knew this game existed. Actually, I'm positive they didn't because, well, games journalists didn't even review it. And
oh my god, they didn't even review this game. This looks like a really busy, messy Marvel Rivals. Like, just at first glance, I don't know anything about this game. It looks like a messy Marvel Rivals.
The game only peaked at around 888
There's way
players
too much going on.
Was canceled immediately. This game was made by Quantic Dream, the same studio that did Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human.
Wow.
Two of the most popular and recognizable choice-driven narrative RPGs or narrative games that have ever been made. Heavy Rain was a massive commercial success on PlayStation 3.
I was about to say.
Detroit Become Human is still selling today. It just recently passed 15 million copies.
Yeah, that's a really popular game.
Doesn't make MOBAs. They don't make multiplayer games. Quantic Dream built their entire reputation around cinematic, narrative-driven experiences. Then it pivoted into basically the exact opposite direction of the audience that these guys...
Why did they make a MOBA? I can explain. Because the executives wanted something else and they wanted to push for this. The same thing happened with like Blizzard and restructuring teams in order to push out a game. This happened with people that... People don't know this because I'm a fucking idiot loser nerd and I actually kept up with this, but people got pushed from Hearthstone, a card game, to go play and be game developers for World of Warcraft. You reshuffle people within your ecosystem of like slop, right? In order to push out projects, and then it becomes like essentially like not the game that people wanted to play. Again, you could be a really amazing game developer and like make games of different genres, but like you need to have dedicated teams that focus on it.
Already have, and that audience did not follow them. Quantic Dream is obviously known. They already had millions of players that cared about their work.
Probably sucked
none of
too.
That matters when you go and you make something that those people never asked for in a market that nobody is waiting for you. That's exactly what happened.
It has to be an exceptional game in order to be popular. Like, again, Blizzard proved that you can make multiple different games of different genres, but like clearly this MOBA that they released sucked ass. Nobody give a fuck.
There. But I think the best example of all of this, or probably the worst example in this case, is Sony. Sony is probably the one publisher that has been the most heavily invested in the live service push. At one point, these guys had 12 live service games that were planned, and while we have no idea what that list looks like now, we do know what followed. Failure after failure. Sony never even finding a single major hit with all that they were chasing. And the entire time that these guys were doing this, they neglected the audience that built PlayStation. Sony became so obsessed with reaching new players and chasing whatever part of the market that they thought looked the most profitable that they lost sight of why people bought their
Well, they acquired an insane amount of studios, too. I'd have to look into it, but I'm pretty sure it's still like a massive amount compared to what they had in like the 2000s.
Consoles at all. And that thinking didn't stop at a business level. It spread to the studios themselves until these companies seemingly could not recognize the audiences that were sitting directly in front of them. That is exactly how you see a company that is abandoning the Destiny brand to go all in on Marathon, a game that just went free for this last weekend and was only able to peak at around 40,000 players. Sony spent years denying the reality of their own audience, and the results ended up showing up in their own sales numbers. In 2019, they had reached their peak of 58 million units sold. By 2024, that number had fallen to more than half, 28 million, before recovering slightly to 32 million in 2025.
Jesus Christ.
And what changed? Sony started giving their audience what they actually expected from PlayStation again. Astrobot, Ghost of Yoto.
I don't think they should have won Game of the Year. Didn't Astrobot win Game of the Year? That was crazy to me.
Death Stranding 2, high-quality single-player games with clear identities
That blew
and an
my
obvious
mind.
audience. It was only when Sony finally returned back to the players that it had spent years overlooking that their numbers finally started moving back in the right direction. And I think that says everything. Sony did.
The fact that Astrobot, and again, people in chat are saying that it's a good game, but it shouldn't have won. You're piggybacking off a game that has a bunch of other games that it references. How is that even fucking fair?
Not need to discover
how
some
is
new
that
massive
fair?
audience hidden somewhere beyond the edge of the market. It already had one. They already had their own. The problem
It's
was
decent.
that
Yeah, people said
became
it was
so
decent. It was a fun
consumed
game.
with finding the next audience
Yeah,
that they
look,
stopped
little
serving
references.
the people
Soy Pog, look at all these games that Sony has. Wow, Game of the Year.
who were already there. These guys are so absolutely terrified.
I would love to sit down with a person in charge of any of these games that cater to new people. Why do you keep making bad games? There's dozens of examples that you will fail just to cater to the guys who actually play games, and more importantly, your games. Because broader audience capture is more important than pumping out something niche that will be successful with a smaller minority of people and enamoring them in order to keep them in your system. It makes more money for them to make a game that's more people will like than to keep them there. Yeah, like WoW has the same problem and League has the same problem, in my personal opinion. It doesn't, though. Well, they think that's how it was gonna work, because it did work. I mean, wouldn't you say? Okay, hear me out. As much as I am criticizing God of War 1 to God of War 2018, wouldn't you say that even though God of War had a very loyal niche audience that people really that they really adored the game for what it was, wouldn't you say that it was less successful than God of War Ragnarok or God of War 2018 and then Ragnarok? I would, because it's objectively, it sold more fucking money. It sold more copies and made them more money.
Just admitting that while the games industry is bigger than it's ever been before, it's likely not going to get much bigger than what it already is, because it is massive. And instead of trying to squeeze water from a stone, these guys need to instead just draw water from the well that they already built. I mean, this is probably the most important part, but serving the audiences that you already have, consistently serving the audiences that you already have, is how you reach secondary audiences. No matter what, just because it's just the way that markets work, secondary audiences are always going to find your products. But in most cases, they find your products through the audience that's already there. So if those guys are happy, they're likely to hear about it more often, and they're also they're also more likely to hear about it positively rather than negatively. Too many of these companies have become so self-obsessed over the idea of radically changing their entire franchises to be able to reach wider audiences, to reach more people. And the thing is that
you cast a wider net, but you also catch more crap if you do. Like, it really is just that simple. But yeah, core audience first. Yeah, but it doesn't make a lot of money. It doesn't make more money.
As you possibly can for the audience that you already have
Yeah.
is how every single company has reached its peak. Every single time.
Mm-hmm.
But it only ever becomes their peak because they abandon that audience once they reach that level.
It sucks. It really does.
It's this never-ending cycle where these guys just get way too greedy once they're up at the top, and they enjoy so much success that the only path that they can see forward is with
you could analyze you could make the analogy with League used to have like ugly stupid characters, right? Like Poppy, York is not a very marketable character. He's an ugly like graveyard spooky dude. There's so many champions I could list off, like Dr. Mundo's not very marketable. He's just like a Frankenstein metaphor essentially. Yeah, Trundle. They made those characters back in the day and they didn't care, right? But now what you see in modern League of Legends, now he's looking good. No, but they still don't market as many skins for him, right? They don't. Like they reworked Yorick and Mundo, but they still don't make a lot of skins for them because it's not marketable. The wider the audience is, which is when League of Legends / Riot Games and Tencent, they started saying, okay, we're going to make it with anime girls. We're going to have anime boys in it. We're going to make skins that sell more objectively. They make them more money. Alas, is the reason Mundo's more popular now? Yeah. Well, they made it more attractive and like stuff. But like my point is, they don't. When you make it for a broader audience, you have to start catering to them. And that's why people kind of like make fun of League a lot, where they say, oh, well, look at that, a character that's either cutesy, girly, or it's a fucking a twink. Yeah, like really, like realistically.
New audience, not the one that they already have. And
because that's the audience now. They waded into a broader audience.
What they end up doing is they just basically come up with the idea of just fundamentally changing these games, and it just doesn't work with the audience. I mean, try to keep in mind that the target demographic, or maybe a better way for me to be able to say this is the most profitable demographic inside of the games industry historically has always been men from ages 18 to 34. It's always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the people that are spending the most money on video games, at least on like the broader trend of genres and everything like that. And there are certain themes and fantasies that always speak to that demographic. It's guns and cars and powers and
big
swords
boobies.
And monsters and attractive women and competition.
Thank you. He said it. Okay.
And attractive women. And
yes, big boobies.
We know what those games look like. Because we know what those tastes are, because it's so predefined and it's so reliable. That's really what it is. It's so reliable. Anytime something changes in that, it is so noticeable. That audience can see it immediately. Other audiences can see it immediately.
I think there was a post somewhere. Again, you can't verify if this person is speaking the truth or not, but it was someone with like a gay flag in their bio. And it made me laugh because I'm like, normally I'd like take it with a grain of salt, but they were saying like, if they made Bayonetta into a dude, or they made a character that was like Bayonetta equivalent and they just put a dude in there, I would stop playing the game, and it would be like the progressives went so far backwards that like me as a lesbian, I can't enjoy this game anymore. And I'm like, she was my gay awakening. Like, what does that make me? Like, you're going so far backwards to cater to people and being like, oh, well, I want to make this game about, like, fucking being a dude. It's like, that's not who your target audience anymore is. Like, you just, I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit. I think I'm getting a little bit fried, but, like, it's just, like, annoying to me that, like, we're going basically backwards.
It stands out immediately. And it just doesn't feel like it belongs. That doesn't mean that's the only audience that you have to make things for. You can make things for other audiences, but if you're going to change things within that core demographic, that's where you're going to find a lot of heat. That's where you're going to find a lot of these problems. That's where you're going to find a lot of these people that are getting upset. And it's why people are getting upset.
Yeah.
Just something to keep in mind. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed
Your
the video.
core
If you guys
audience
did
could
enjoy the
be
video,
gay
let me know
women
what you
and
thought of
men.
the video. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, share it across social media, share it with everybody. Make sure everybody in the world watches it. It's the most important. Every video.
Holy shit.
Every video is the most important video. I am actually really interested to think or see what people think about this, because there was a lot of people that really were disagreeing with me online, at least on Twitter. I know Twitter is like a completely different universe to the rest of the world, but still, it was kind of, I don't know, some cognitive dissonance there where I'm like, am I just wrong about this? Wait a minute. Am I being gaslit? Am I gaslighting myself? I have no idea. Let me know what you think. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm going to Summer Games Fest. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Peace.
Peace. Family. 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 Ah, what a good time. What a good time. I like that guy. Even though I disagree with some of his points, I think that, like, again, he was glazing God of War, the 2018 one, a lot. And how it shifted and stuff. And I'm like, that was the intention, though. Like, if we're gonna assume that the game came out in 2018, and they worked on it for, say, 4 years, which is pretty average, right? Like, the game was around about that time where the gaming industry was already starting to shift. So, like, this sequel and all the... people criticize God of War Ragnarok for the story, too. They said that it wasn't, like, that great. I think it makes sense that they're coming up with this shit now, because people are going to be, like, more okay or more accepting, and there's going to be more people defending, like, you know, Kratos' fucking wife being in it. That's true. It is true. Go check them out.
Fire, 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 fire.